My first job was actually in the steel industry, where my mother happened to be serving in the director's dining room, and they were talking about what they called a pre-graduate programme. And my mother happened to lean over the personnel director, it was called then, giving this guy his pudding and saying, "Oh, Charles is a bright young boy. He probably should have an interview." So nepotism was alive and well, and that was my very first job. I left campus to go and work for Granada. I was then chairman of what they called, euphemistically called, the leisure businesses. So 10-pin bowling, motorway services, dodgy nightclubs. It was a great job. And then within a year, they asked me to run Granada Television. I then spent the rest of my time at Granada creating ITV. In the meantime, also went off and bought 40. In '95, we bought something called 40 hotels, 460 hotels around the world, run by the 40 family. And then we split the hotels and catering business up, and I ran the television business. But the parallel really with sport was in '99 I was asked to become chairman of the Commonwealth Games in Manchester. And I was just saying earlier, we hadn't had a very good record in terms of putting on big sporting events. We'd had Pickett's Lock, we'd had Wembley, and this was seen as a bit of a basket case. But I really loved it. It was just amazing, and working with a great team, we actually pulled it off. In 2002, we then said, isn't this fantastic, and shouldn't we bid for the Olympics? Seen as a crazy idea, Tessa Gell and I sat down and we started putting a team together, and it was Barbara Cassani, Alan Pascoe, Tessa, Seb and myself. And really what I'd like to do is maybe share some of that, what's happened over these years and the parallels between business and sport. That constant sort of focus on business support really underlines these various parallels, and as the Commonwealth Games was just magical. And I thought if we could capture the essence of that in a company, wouldn't that be incredible? That spirit, the excitement, the passion, wouldn't that be great? And that's what we did in terms of starting to look at 2012. And really we had some significant challenges. We had a real challenge of building belief, because the team didn't believe we could do it. The people in the room just didn't believe we could win. And we weren't one team, that was the next thing. So we had to then build a sense of team. And you know, what were we trying to do? Well, the way you win is you have to get as many of the 122 votes of the IOC as possible. So it's not first past the post. They go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, a bit like Thunderbirds. We had to get commercial support. And it's amazing when you look back, people said, oh, we were always supported, big business was always supported. I can tell you it was a slog. My job was to get commercial finance. So I had to plod around lots of businesses and try and get them involved. And that wasn't easy, because it was a tough gig and a tough sell. Rather than saying, as the French did, what the Games would do for France or what they would do for Paris, we said that we want to inspire a generation. And that was the ethos, in terms of we were going to really deliver something somewhat different, rather than saying, and we were saying, this is what we will do for Olympics and Paralympics, rather than this is what the Olympics and Paralympics would do for us. When we'd pitched, it was almost we'd done all the things that you say you shouldn't do, never work with children and animals. We took 30 kids from East End of London. We had a video that was a tear-jerker. We then were criticised because we'd actually not made it in Africa, but we'd actually made it here. So there was all of that sort of controversy. It's almost a bit like what you see with the election at the moment. So there was all of that going on. But when Jacques Rode didn't pucker his lips and say Paris and stuck out his tongue and said London, that was such a magical moment. It was one of the best moments. As well as being able to hug David Beckham, it was sort of, you know, it was one of my highlights.